Welcome to Judge My Round with Tom Brennan. Let's get started. Jan, I'm just sitting down to watch your video from the still frame that's about to start. It looks clear that we're at Lexington. I'm guessing this is an amateur owner trip. And I'm going to have a first look here, just like I would if I were judging the class. Nice start. He got behind your leg just a touch, and I think that's probably why we had that rub there. Not a big concern. Wasn't such a hard rub. Good jump there. Good out of that line. Might like to see him get a little closer to the second jump of the line. Love the presentation. He's turned out great. He looks beautiful. He has nice shape. He's a developed young horse. Good into the diagonal. I liked that better. He got closer to that jump, and he jumped a better jump for it. So far, I'm liking this a lot. A little questionable there. Okay, so good out of the two stride. I'm going to pause it there. First impressions, good out of the two. We had a little mistake into the two there. On the way into the last line, I sort of questioned if he was going to have his front legs out of the way, and then it did become a problem for the into the two. You ride accurately. It's a quality horse. It's obviously confident and well presented. I think depending on how the class is developed up until that point, I'm probably in the 78 to 81 range with that round. In a moment, we're going to break it down and talk about what a judge needs to see to give you a higher score with your horse there. Jan, now we're going to go through your video again and break down a few things to improve our score. The beginning here is really excellent. You present your horse like a show horse. Your turnout's impeccable. Really what we come to expect from a top-level horse show amateur owner division. He gets a little behind your leg at the first jump, and yeah, he does rub it. It's worth noting. That's something you and your trainer can talk about. But I don't think that's really affecting your score significantly in this particular round that you've submitted. This line here is excellent. I'd like to see him get a little closer to this third jump, but he jumps it well. It's a straight jump. So far, I've only found ways to give the horse points from a judging point of view. And that only continues into this second line here. He shows us that he has a right lead as well, uses that side beautifully. One thing he did there that's worth noting is he finished his jump out of the line better than he's finished the rest of the jumps. So for a few extra bonus points, so to speak, it would be nice to see him finish all the jumps like that in the round. Let's watch that again. Good in, but even better after. He really relaxes down into the ring as he lands. Now before we come to this last line, we're going to talk about it for a minute, because it happens quickly. The jump in is okay, but I wonder if he's taking himself past the jump as I'm watching, and he could risk jumping over himself. He ends up handling the jump in pretty well, and you ride it very well. But then at the first jump of the in and out, the second jump in the line, he does just what we were afraid he would do. When he's deep, he's going to have to learn how to slow down the jump a little so that his front end can get off the ground cleaner. He ends up jumping more with his head and neck rather than squatting back and using his shoulder the way he did at jumps 2 through 5. He's good with his legs most of the time, but he's not the best with his shoulder. He doesn't use it the best every time, and the deep jumps with a downhill balance accentuate that. So we're looking for a presentation in that last line that matches the rest of the course, where he has the same balance at takeoff that he did starting the course. We're going to watch it a few times, but now that you have that in mind, look for that. You're accurate on the way in, but he starts to go past himself a little there. And then on the in of the two, he really is in a hurry. His head and neck have shot out ahead of the arc. And he ends up bringing those front legs along with him rather than leading the jump with his knees and shoulder. Now compare that form with his form at jump 4. You can really see a difference, and so can the judge. That's really the biggest place you're going to improve this round. The rest of it is very competitive. And if the rest of it hadn't been competitive, that score could be even in the low 70s. Because so many good things happen and there's so much quality, I have an opportunity as a judge to reward you and put you somewhere, as I said, in that upper 70 to very low 80 range. If we could solve that last line, particularly the in of the 2 stride, I don't see any reason why that round can't be somewhere around the 85 to 86 range, depending on the rest of the class and how it's developed up until that point. It is worth noting that there are some horses who are going to instinctively be a little better at their jumping style, and we're going to talk about how we might help him catch up to those horses in the question and answer section next. Jan, hopefully by now you have some tips on how you can move your round from being 3rd or 4th to the top of the class. Your second question regarded your position, and is there something you're doing that's impacting your horse's jump quality? I think you're a very good rider, and I particularly like the feel you have of your horse's mouth and your steady balance all the way around the course. This line here by the camera angle really shows that off. But what it also shows is that once in a while you twist pretty hard to the inside, whether you're encouraging him to land on a lead or not. I don't think right now it's affecting his jump quality, but over time and with your horses getting older every year, eventually this will. So I'd love to see you curb that habit now. And I'm assuming your question meant, does your position negatively impact your jump quality? But another way to think about it is, what can you do to help your jump quality? Maybe you and your trainer can take some time to think about where you can position yourself when you find yourself at that deep jump that caused us to lose this class. Finally, you asked for some homework. I caution to give homework because you need to work with your trainer, your team, when training your horse, and I'm only seeing a snapshot in time. But I'm happy to share with you a few things that have helped me over the years with horses that have the same problems yours does. First and foremost, you're looking for more adjustability and rideability, not more fatigue. Your horse is clearly comfortable in the show ring, and he's presented well with a great expression, so you want to be able to communicate to him when you need him to adjust his stride and his balance. A horse who doesn't use his shoulder great at a deep distance typically gets worse with fatigue, in my opinion. So watch how quiet they get and focus more on the training. At home, I've also had luck varying between skinny, very ramped oxers, low, wide, square oxers, and occasionally a vertical with no ground line. This sometimes encourages them to make the very mistake that you're trying to teach them to avoid. But in making that mistake, it gives you an opportunity to work on it. Hopefully that's given you and your trainer some food for thought, and I hope you found this useful. And I really appreciate the opportunity to judge your round.